Welcome to Sunset News. I am Ashwin Betty, here to bring you the news, community stories, weather, the economic news, as well as the indicators, and so much more on Tuesday, the 14th of May. Let's get into our top stories. The Namibia Ports Authority set a new record by handling 8 million tons of cargo during the financial year, which ended 31st March 2024. This is a notable 4% increase from the amount of cargo handled of 7.7 million tons in the previous financial year. The major contributor is the export of goods including salt, copper concentrate, bagged salt, frozen fish, manganese ore, and zinc-lead concentrate. Specifically, bulk salt saw a growth of 10%, copper concentrate increased by 12%, salt bagged by 1%, frozen fish by 29%, manganese ore increased to 15.7%, zinc-lead concentrates grew by 2.9%, and marble increased by 41%. During the financial year 2023-2024, there were significant increases in the import of various commodities. Notably, petroleum surged, representing a substantial 26% increase. Other imported commodities also experienced noteworthy growth, including copper concentrate, ammonium nitrate, wheat, ship spares, and steel. Additionally, Namport recorded a commendable 7.9% increase in the import of goods in comparison to the previous financial year. During the financial period ended, the number of vessels calling the Namibian port surged by 29% year-on-year, escalating from 1,636 to 2,115 calls, primarily driven by increased activity across various vessel categories, including foreign tugs, dry bulk vessels, containerized vessels, foreign fishing vessels, petroleum vessels, Namibian fishing vessels, research and general vessels. Now, the financial year under review also recorded an increased occupancy rate by Synchro-Lift facilities. The repaired jetties occupancy rose from 64 to 96%, while bay occupancy lagged at 47% compared to 52% in the previous year. Elias Mwenyo, the Namport executive for commercial services, stated that the success of Namport's operations can be attributed to building and maintaining solid relationships with key stakeholders such as the Walvish Bay Corridor Group, shipping lines, cargo owners, government agencies, and the port community. The dedication of Namport's workforce and the confidence customers place in utilizing the amenities and services provided by the Ports Authority. This collaboration is crucial for the long-term success and sustainability of port. We remain unwavering in its commitment to becoming the best performing seaport in Africa. In our next story, the long-awaited Kunene Vocational Training Center in Korigas is set to open its doors soon, marking a significant milestone in the region's educational and economic development. The state-of-the-art facility, funded by the Ministry of Higher Education and the Namibia Training Authority, will begin its intake of trainees in September, with classes commencing shortly thereafter. Governor of the Kunene region, Marius Shea, recently mentioned that the center is in the final stages of preparation, with the employment of staff members underway to ensure a smooth opening in June. Approximately 100 trainees and staff are expected to start occupying the various workshops as well as the classrooms by June, despite the construction of the center not being fully completed. Now, the initial intake will benefit from 4 newly constructed workshops focusing on air conditioning and refrigeration, plumbing and pipe fitting, bricklaying and plastering, and joinery and cabinet making. Namibia Training Authority's TVET Standards Manager Amon Halfiku says that these workshops were specifically built to cater to these trades, and future program expansions will be considered based on regional demands and the success of the current offerings. The construction of the Kunene VTC began in 2018 but faced delays due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The center's completion and subsequent opening are highly anticipated by local leaders and the community. Now, the second phase of development will include the construction of hostel blocks to accommodate the growing number of trainees, and discussions are ongoing disregarding additional programs that can promote self-employment. Mayor of Korigas, Patience Kwahes, expressed her excitement about the upcoming opening of the center. Governor Shea highlighted the importance of prioritizing local employment for the center's entry-level positions, ensuring that the benefits of the VTC are felt directly by the community. Furthermore, the Korigas Town Council has been urged to provide land or collaborate with private investors to develop accommodation facilities in order to support the influx of trainees and staff. Now, the governor of the Erongo region, Nevo Andre, discussed constructive collaboration with the Kunene region governor, Maria Shea, during a courtesy visit today in Swakopmund. The delegates of the Kunene region shared that they are eager to learn the ropes from the Erongo region and implement effectively.
But I'm very much also happy that, again, in terms of development, the issue of green hydrogen, our two regions are one of the two fortunate regions to benefit and to share some of this. As you may know, is that when you look at the world population, is growing increasingly very high. We are about 8 billion people on Earth, and this population is ever growing. With this growing of population, there are many needs that we need to give to our people, and we are seeing that the earth itself is being destroyed through climate. Through the emission of carbon dioxide, the different serious issues that we are seeing in terms of climate change. And this is a challenge that the world is having, that every time the fossil fuels and all those challenges that the world is facing, and very soon our future generation will not be able to benefit from what we are seeing today.
Decades of debt settlement lies ahead for Namibia based on loans from the World Bank and the Green Climate Fund for strengthening the country's power grid. The national power supplier NamPower announced on 6 May that the first World Bank financing of around $2.6 billion Namibian dollars had been approved. The funds are earmarked for NamPower's energy storage project and the expansion of its transmission. Orabile Minki Moilwa is responsible for external affairs at the World Bank Group for Eastern and Southern Africa, and when asked, elaborated on the project and the loans involved. According to her, first of all grants worth $18.5 million is being provided from the World Bank and the GCF. The second phase includes a loan of $100 million from the World Bank, followed by a $20 million loan from the GCF. Interest rates on the loans are determined by the exchange rates and the cost of financing. As of the 8th of May, the interest rate was 5.39% based on the exchange rate plus 1.05% for the cost of financing from the World Bank, while the GCF's loan carries an annual service fee of 0.25%, Moilwa said. Now, the loan from the World Bank has a maturity date of 15 years, including a grace period of 5 years. The GCF loan has a maturity of 40 years, including a grace period of 10 years, she explained. The focus of the loans is apparently on the development of the second Awas Kokerboom transmission line, the development of a utility-scale battery power storage system, and also technical assistance activities. According to Moilwa, the World Bank supports the government's policy. NamPower elaborated that the energy storage part of the project includes 45 megawatts, 90 megawatts BESS at the Litops substation in the Erongo region due to the proximity of large mining projects and the expectation of large solar power plants in the area. The strengthened power grid will also improve Namibia's ability to channel power through the Southern African power pool. Economic news follows this short break on Sunset News.
Introducing 061 Express, brought to you by Synergy in proud partnership with Windhoek Express. Here's your chance to make your voice heard to celebrate the businesses that make Windhoek exceptional. From your favorite coffee spot to the salon that always gets your style just right. It's time to shine a spotlight on the gems of our city. Over the next 8 weeks, it's your chance to vote for your favorites to recognize the best of the best. Nominations open on the 25th of April and close on the 5th of May. To nominate your favorite business, simply save this number, 085-785-6231, and WhatsApp #061Express or scan the QR code below and follow the on-screen instructions. By nominating your favorites, you're not only supporting local businesses, but you also stand a chance to win your share of 50,000 Namibian dollars in cash. The voting process will be the same as the nominations process, using the Synergy chatbot and the hashtag 061Express. Voting opens on June 5th and closes on June 23rd. Make sure to cast your votes for the best of the best. The winners will be announced on June 28th. 061Express, celebrating the heartbeat of Windhoek. Get ready to make your mark.
Let's get into economic news. Windhoek reported a slight uptick in building plans registered for March, witnessing a 2.6% increase on a month-on-month basis. Building statistics show rising from 192 to 197 approvals compared to February. Conversely, Swakopmund saw 14% MOM increase, with approvals climbing from 50 to 57 during the same period. However, on an annual basis, Windhoek saw a slight 1% year-on-year increase in approvals, while Swakopmund experienced a minus 12.3% YOY contraction, dropping from 65 in March 2023 to 57 approvals in March this year, Simone Storm said. Quarterly, Windhoek observed an increase in approved plans during the first quarter of 2024, with 465 approvals totaling a value of 539.8 million Namibian dollars as compared to 458 in the same period of 2023. Conversely, Swakopmund experienced a decline in approved building plans during the first quarter of 2024, with 132 approvals compared to 149 in the first quarter of last year. Now, according to the firm Simone Storm, most of the approved building plans in both Windhoek and Swakopmund predominantly focused on the residential segment of the market. In Windhoek, 76% of approved plans were for additions to existing buildings, amounting to 115, 16% for new houses, amounting to 32, and 6% for walls. Only 1% each was allocated to commercial building plans and pools, it said. In Windhoek, Klein Windhoek, Katutura, Komastau, and Koreahab showed the highest concentration in terms of approved projects, Simone Storm also said. In Swakopmund, 53 new residential developments were approved, constituting 93% of the total, while remaining 7% comprised approvals for new commercial institutions. Slowdown year to date, 126 million Namibian dollars in new projects were approved, it found. Year to date, only 93 building projects have been completed in Windhoek, totaling 126 million Namibian dollars in value. This reflects a significant slowdown in building plan completions compared to the same period last year, during which 198 new projects were completed between January and the end of March. Let's have a look at the indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.44 next to the US dollar. 23.14 Namibian dollars gets you 1 British pound. 19.93 means you can get a euro, and for Chinese yuan, that's 2.55 Namibian dollars. Gold is currently trading at 2,354.21 per ounce, with Brent crude oil making a downturn of minus 0.14%. All right, in our story of the day, we'll be talking about the preliminary report on the airplane crash that happened in Windhoek.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
Let's get into the story of the day. A preliminary report on the airplane crash in Windhoek, which claimed 3 lives just over a week ago, is expected to be known by the end of this month. This is according to Ben Engelbrecht, an investigator with the Directorate of Aircraft Accidents and Incident Investigations at the Works and Transport Ministry. Now, Engelbrecht said the Directorate suspects that one of the airplane's engines failed, but they are still working to fully establish this. He said this suspicion stems from information information shared by eyewitnesses and CCTV footage. We know the plane sharply turned left. Why this happened, we still need to investigate fully to determine, he told Namibian Sun's sister publication Republican. Engelbrecht said DAI-11 is currently in contact with the Canadian manufacturer of the engine aboard the Cessna 406 aircraft to determine what went wrong during the fateful flight. The crash, which occurred on 3 May just after 5 p.m., claimed the lives of pilot Rosanne de Beer Olivier, 33, her co-pilot Ruan van Skalkwijk, 24, and aircraft engineer Armand Loeb, 25. The crash also damaged houses in the Pioneers Park neighborhood. Tragedy. De Beer Olivier was an experienced pilot who had logged more than 1,000 flight hours aboard a Cessna 406 aircraft. She had been working at West Air since 2017 and was married to pilot Philip Olivier from South Africa. Van Skalkwijk was the youngest of the three who perished in this accident and had only started at West Air a year ago. He had been in a relationship with his girlfriend Sune van Wyk for a decade. Nalub had been with West Air since 2019 and got engaged to his girlfriend Lara Engelbrecht late last September. You are still with Sunset News. In international news, group of displaced Palestinians move into a heavily damaged school in Gaza, while the EU is set to overhaul its migration and asylum policies. These international stories coming up soon. We start off with an interesting story. A Kenyan man due to be executed in Saudi Arabia has had a last-minute reprieve following a large-scale social media campaign. Stephen Monyako, son of veteran journalist Dorothy Kweyu, received the death penalty in 2011 following a fatal fight with a colleague in the Gulf nation. According to the Bring Back Stevo campaign run by Monyako's supporters, both workers sustained stab wounds, but only Monyako survived. Consequently, Monyako was handed the death sentence. Under Saudi law, a death sentence can be lifted if the family agrees to get compensation instead. His family back home in Kenya have been attempting to raise the required blood money, which is 3.5 million Saudi riyals, which is $940,000 for the deceased family. On Monday, just 2 days before Monyako was due to be executed, Kenya's principal secretary for foreign affairs said Saudi Arabia had kindly granted the government's request to postpone the death in order to allow for further negotiations between all parties. Kore Singoe wrote on social media platform X, "As we devise strategies to bring this matter to a more acceptable conclusion and thereby giving both families the closure they so urgently need and deserve, we shall continue to lean on the warm and solid friendship that we have with our Saudi partners, as well as on the goodwill of all Kenyans." Now, a group of displaced Palestinians have moved into a school run by a UN agency that was heavily damaged during the ongoing Israel-Hamas war and fixed some of the classrooms where they now live. The school in the southern city of Khan Yunis used to be run by the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, known as UNRWA, and was damaged by Israel's bombardment of the Gaza Strip. The families who were displaced from the southern city of Rafah along the border with Egypt cleaned some of the classrooms, removed debris, and fixed some of the damage when settled in. UNRWA said 360,000 Palestinians have fled the city of Rafah over the past week, out of 1.3 million who were sheltering there before the operation began. Most had already fled fighting elsewhere during the 7th-month war between Israel and Hamas. Israel has portrayed Rafah as the last stronghold of the militant group, brushing off warnings from the United States and other allies that any major operation there would be catastrophic for civilians. Hamas has meanwhile regrouped and is battling Israeli forces in parts of Gaza that Israel bombarded and invaded earlier in the war. Since Israeli troops captured a border crossing with Egypt in Rafah, the flow of rapid form there has stopped. Fighting in Rafah city has made it impossible for groups to access the nearby Kerem Shalom crossing Israel, though Israel says it is allowing supply trucks to enter from its side. Now, operations in Rafah are ordering the population to evacuate from parts of the city. Israel insists it is a limited operation that is focused on rooting out infrastructure along the border with Egypt. The war began In October 7, that's according to Israel, killing 1,200 people. Israel's offensive has killed more than 35,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children. Now, the European Union has given the final green light to a landmark overhaul of its migration and asylum policies that will see hardened borders and shared responsibility among member states as campaigning heats up for Europe-wide elections next month. The new pact on migration and asylum was officially approved by the 27-nation bloc's economy ministers, ending more than 8 years of work to rewrite the rulebook for handling people who enter Europe without authorization. A majority of member nations backed the reform 10 pieces of legislation, ensuring its passage despite opposition from Hungary and Poland, which have long rejected the idea that all European countries should take in a share of arrivals. You are still with Sunset News. We're going to swing over to the weather predictions shortly. It's looking sunny across the board, even though I felt a few drizzles earlier. In Nana, Oshakati and Ruakana are partly cloudy. Sunny yet again, Lüderitz and Oranjemund being partly cloudy. Hottest place in the country currently is Lüderitz with a 35 degrees Celsius maximum expected. You are still with Sunset News. We're going to swing over to the sports desk.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with tennis news first. Italian Open that continues, exciting. It's the second week of the Italian Open in Rome, and the results from the round of 32, or the third round, is that Andrei Rublev, the number 4 seed in the men's division, he's out of the tournament. He lost to Alex Müller of Germany 3-6, 6-3 and 6-2. Better news for Alex de Minaur. He is the number 9 seed from Australia, doing well on clay. He defeated Felix Auger-Aliassime of Canada. And then Stefanos Tsitsipas, his number 6 seed, is also back in form again, winning against Cameron Norrie of Great Britain. And the score there was 6-2 and 7-6 in favour of Stefanos Tsitsipas, one of the favourites to reach the final over the weekend. In the women's division, it is number 3 seed Coco Gauff that had a tough game against Paula Badosa of Spain, winning in 3 sets, 5-7, 6-4 and 6-1. And then number 2 seed Aryna Sabalenka continuing her good form as well, beating Elena Svitolina 4-6, 6-1 and 7-6. Also a very tough game for Aryna Sabalenka to go through to the round of 16. And Danielle Collins of the USA also still in the tournament. She beat Irina Begu of Italy 6-love, 6-3. She's also through to the round of 16. In soccer, it was English Premier League that continued. It was Liverpool that played against Aston Villa. It was a home game for Aston Villa. It ended 3-3, very exciting game. Good news for Aston Villa. They're very close to securing a top 4 position in the English Premier League that secures Champions League soccer in a 2025 season. So that's important for them. And it is Liverpool that stay at number 3 on the points list, will easily make the top 4. Also news from Bournemouth is that they confirmed that their coach Andoni Areola, he will maintain as their coach. He signed a new contract until 2026, and it's Bournemouth currently 11th on the English Premier League list. They've got 48 league points after 37 games. And to conclude today's international sports news, it is golf news. The second major of the men's calendar, the PGA of the USA, will be played this week starting on Thursday. And some of the early favourites will be Rory McIlroy that won the past weekend, and also Scottie Scheffler that recently won the Masters. Also 7 players that will be in action from the Live Golf Breakaway League, and defending champion in the PGA is Brooks Koepka, and he is currently playing in Live Golf, so defending his championship, of course. And then other notables to mention is a South African, Dean Burmeister, also playing in Live Golf. He got an invitation, so he's been rewarded for good form. And also Taylor Gooch of the USA. So that is the men's PGA, the second major of the year, starting on Thursday. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toyvon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. The agenda aims to reach high-end news consumers seeking informed understanding of national issues. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com, and the Namibia Media Holdings Facebook platform. The agenda focuses on interviews where we put the nation in the hot seat. Contact Agenda at synergy.com.na to get your product and service in the hot seat. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
DSTV 285, GoTV 25 Network Media Hub on YouTube and 1up2.com is precisely where you can find us. My name is Ashwin Betty. This has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.